What's up, guys, and welcome to a new episode of Spartan Ownership. From what I can see, you guys are liking the 10 lessons or 10 tips type videos that I've been making. The Jack Donovan one got quite a lot of views quickly, so I'm going to continue on that path since I see you guys like this. Let me know if you do. Comment below, like, share, spread the love. And for today, I want to talk about The Way of the Superior Man by Deida. He's been an amazing influence in my life. I encountered him several years ago, and he's definitely helped me with my purpose when it comes to dating, when it comes to my relationship. He has helped me in a lot of ways when it comes to understanding women as well, and men actually, and myself. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump into the 10 things I learned from The Way of the Superior Man. So the first thing I learned was, number one, you find your purpose in solitude. So a lot of guys ask me, like, how do I find my purpose? How do I get connected to what I truly have to do? I feel like I have no purpose in life, no vision, and stuff like that. You know, I get messages all the time from guys, and that's definitely one of the top things I get. So Deida basically says that you should spend time in solitude in order to find your purpose. Unplug from the bullshit, you know, social media, unplug from all of that and spend some time in solitude. You know, that's how you basically find what you need to do, because when you're in solitude and all the chit chat stops and all the notifications stop and all the responsibilities stop and everything stops and you become real quiet and real still, all of a sudden you just start thinking, and then you start getting impulses of what you want to do, right? And then you start to kind of, it's like an onion, you know, like you peel back all the superficial layers of bullshit until you get to the core. And, you know, how do you do that? Well, you can either do it every day by like meditating for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You can do it by going on a meditation retreat for like a week. There's plenty of those around. Look up Vipassana retreats, Vipassana retreat, I believe. And they're free, and they're all over the country, if not the world. And that's definitely one way you can do it. It's 10 days of basically meditating with no talking. You can't talk for 10 days. They feed you and everything, and it's a free retreat. All you got to do is donate. And you can also just spend some time on the weekend. You know, take this weekend off, for instance. If you still don't know your purpose, next Saturday, right now, you know, plan this out to unplug. You're not going to hang out with anybody that day. You're not going to do anything that day. You're just going to go to the forest. You're going to go on a hike. You're going to go somewhere where it's just you. You're going to put your phone on airplane mode, no phones. And you're just going to relax and breathe and unplug. And you know what? The first day you may not even get it. But just by tuning out that chatter, you're going to be that much closer there. So that's the first thing that I wanted to mention. Number two, polarity. This is extremely important when it comes to relationships, and it took me a while to actually realize this. So polarity is basically another word for passion when it comes to your relationships, and Deida talks about the ways to create that passion, that spike, that super like magnetic energy between you two. And how do you do that? Well, you have to maintain polarity. And basically polarity comes from, it's like a magnet. When you have a positive magnet and a negative magnet, and they like, you know, they can't touch, it's because of the polarity. There's the positive and negative, or I believe that's when they come together. Sorry, yeah, that's when the polarity happens. So how do you do the positive and negative? Well, if you're a man, you have to be in your masculine. If you're a woman, you have to be in your feminine. How do you do that? That leads into number three. So those will tie in together. So masculine energy. For those of you that have been watching my videos for quite a while, you may already know this because I mention it here and there. Masculine energy is about breaking through barriers. It's about being grounded in your purpose. It's about having a vision. It's about having direction. It's about knowing where you are, where you're going, and how to get there. You know, it's about being grounded in presence. It's about being very present. It's about being calm. It's about being cool under pressure, graceful under pressure. You know, that's basically masculine energy. Feminine energy is more about maintaining the flow of love in your relationships. It's about, going with the flow of life. It's about getting a thought and following it, seeing where it goes. It's about dancing. It's about all the things that are happening in the world. It's about being identified with all the energy of the world. That's basically feminine energy. It's about emotion. It's about spice. It's about love. It's about all this other stuff. So masculine energy is a lot about like presence, consciousness, if you guys understand that. And then feminine energy is about flow, about energy, right? So how do you create the polarity then, right? Because I said 2 and 3 interrelate. Well, you create it by basically staying in your masculine during moments of intimacy. So you don't always want to have polarity, I guess, right? Like if you just want to have a logical conversation without any passion, you don't want any polarity, you don't have to follow this. But if you want to be passionate with your woman, basically you have to stay in your masculine. How do you do that? Well, you can do it by meditating. You can do it by being less reactive to her, right? So if she's identified with the flow of life and being energetic and everything, and if she says something that happens to tick you off a little bit, if you start getting reactive and getting emotional about it, well, guess what? Now you're both feminine energy. But a masculine energy person would mostly stay unreactive to a point, like if she's really being annoying and really just taking you off. I mean, obviously, you got to do what you got to do. But I'm saying if she just says something and, your weaker self kind of wants to react to it, then the masculine energy, if you're identified with it, you wouldn't react to it because you'd be identified with presence. You'd be cool under pressure. You'd be relaxed. You'd be focused on your vision, on your purpose. You're not reacting to some bullshit, right? Another way to stay in your masculine energy is to just think about your vision. Think about what you have to do. And when you have that in mind and like you feel excited about it, it just naturally kind of grounds you into your masculinity because you know where you're headed. Like that's your vision. And then for your woman, she would then have to kind of let go more. Like to create that polarity, that passion, she would have to relax, trust your masculine energy a bit. Like completely let go into her feminine. And that may sound abstract, so I'm going to try to delve a bit deeper. It basically means that she can relax knowing that you're going to keep her safe. She can relax knowing that you know where you have to go in life. You know where you're headed in life. You know what you guys are going to do today. You know what you guys are going to do tonight. You're basically leading the interaction. And by doing that, she can let go because she knows you're the one that's basically leading it, right? Because if she has to think about it, then it puts her in her masculine energy because now she has to figure out what's going on. Which leads me into number 4. Which is, I wrote it down somewhere here. Yeah. Women will develop their own masculine energy if they can't feel like they could trust yours. So that's number 4. Basically, if you're not in your masculine and you're not moving towards the vision, you're not leading the interaction with your woman, you're not leading the day. And by the way, you don't have to do this all the time. If she has a suggestion, you don't just put her down and say, no, we can't go to the restaurant. I'm in my masculine, so you have to follow my lead. It doesn't mean it like that. It just means that for the most part, you're basically leading the interaction. You're leading the day. And by doing that, she can relax and hence stop trying to develop her own masculine energy. And this works especially if like you're like living with a woman, right? Because if you're living with her, there's a lot more things that involve her, like bills, like what you guys are going to do next month or what your whole vision is for your relationship. So if you're not actively creating that yourself and leading your woman into that, she's going to feel obligated to start, thinking about all that stuff herself because you're not taking responsibility for it. And that's when she starts to cut her hair shorter. That's when she starts to get aggressive. That's when she starts being less and less feminine, starts putting less and less makeup on, starts being less and less, spontaneous during sex and stuff like that. Because she can't really trust your masculine discipline anymore. She can't trust that you're going to be disciplined. She can't trust that you're going to be impeccable, right? Impeccability is one of the biggest things that I value, which is integrity, basically. Integrity to your mission. It's knowing what you got to do, knowing how you have to think, knowing what your purpose is, and then moving forward towards it with impeccability, with a high sense of discipline, without getting sidetracked like some fucking tumbleweed all the time. I value that intensely, and so does your woman. So that's number 4. Let's see here, what else is there? I got a lot of notes, as you can see. Number 5, this has to do with the 4th one as well. All this stuff interrelates, basically. And that is that your woman is responsible for the energy of the intimacy, pleasure, sexual flow, and vitality of your relationship. And that's another thing to do with polarity. If you want to create polarity in your life, or with your woman, then you have to kind of like relinquish your own feminine energy to her. You know, you can't be masculine and feminine around your woman because you're not going to have that polarity. Once again, if you want passion, you have to be mostly in your masculine zone, and she has to be mostly in her feminine zone. That's how you create that polarity and you guys come together for desire. Otherwise, if you're both masculine and feminine, she's also masculine and feminine, how is there going to be enough energy? You know, like, it's going to be two of the same force. It's just not going to come together. You are responsible for leading the direction of growth and opening her to higher depth of love and openness of mood, right? So it basically just means, as a man, you must take responsibility for the growth of the relationship, meaning the vision of the relationship. What is your vision of this relationship? Move towards that. And also, you are responsible for opening her to a higher depth of love and openness of mood. So that just means, like, and I'm still learning this myself, but as of now, my understanding means that basically when you're with your woman, don't like run away from her as soon as she's in a bad mood or something like that. Or if she's in a somewhat kind of weird mood, basically you're constantly trying to open her up, make her even more loving, basically making her surrender even more to the flow of love. You know what I mean? So you're joking with her, you're playing with her. If she gets mad at you, you kind of like joke around, pick her up, spin her around, you know, like constantly put her in a more loving state, basically. That's how you stay in your masculine and allow her to open up to a deeper feminine kind of flow. And then she's more responsible for the energy of the intimacy. You know, while you're responsible for the growth, the direction of the relationship, for opening her up, she's responsible for the energy that she provides for you. You know, she's basically responsible for your boner. That's literally how Deida says it. She's responsible for your erection in a way. Like, she's responsible for creating that energy of intimacy, that pleasure, the sexual flow, the vitality. She adds that to the relationship. She adds the beauty, the energy, the life to the relationship. And that makes you alive. You know, that basically gives you a boner. So, and I'm not saying that that's all she does. It's a huge role to be able to add that energy to your life. You know, that's basically what it is. Listen to your woman like the ocean, the wind, and basically what she says is like a cloud. So to elaborate on that, you know, a lot of guys take what their woman says literally. You know, like a lot of guys listen to their woman as if they're listening to another dude. Okay, and the thing is, let's just face it, women are a lot more emotional than men, right? I mean, that's not always the case, okay? I know plenty of emotional guys. But what I'm trying to say is that when women talk, it's not really as dense as it is for men. You know, women are constantly talking. They talk so much more than men. That's proven scientifically. So what Deida is trying to say is that your woman is like, when she's in her feminine especially, she's just flowing and she's just going with the flow of her emotions and thoughts. So she might say something and then in 2 seconds she might just, you know, say something totally different, the opposite. It's basically like women never lie. They just change their mind. So what Deida says is, don't listen to your woman as if she's another man and take everything she says literally into heart. Listen to her more like the wind or like the ocean. And by doing that, you stay a lot less reactive to what she says. Because once again, what she says isn't that important per se, because it's not full of depth. Like when I talk to you, I'm talking from like massive, like, you know, thought and training and years of experience and years of reading this content and years of trying to understand it. I'm coming at you with like, this is where you should be. This is the direction you're headed to. You know, this is like masculine energy coming towards masculine energy. But when a woman talks, it's different. It's like she's just going with the flow, because once again, what's feminine energy? It's being identified with the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings of life, the love of life. You know, like she's just saying what's on her mind freely, and sometimes she says something she doesn't mean. You know, she'll say something kind of crazy. And men do that too, but I'm saying women are more prone to do that. And basically, you shouldn't be reactive to what they say, is what I'm saying. And don't treat it as too literal. You're not talking to another man. You're not talking to me. You're not talking to your best friend. None of that. You're talking to a woman. So just treat it like an ocean. She doesn't want to be the number one thing in your life. Okay, women don't want to be number one in your life. They want to trust you, and they want to trust the fact that you have a higher purpose than just them. A woman doesn't want to look at you and think, my man is completely dedicated to me. I am his purpose. No. You know, and then David Deida gives you this example in his book where basically he says, imagine you have to go off to war. Right? And your woman's at the door and she's like, no, don't go. And she's crying and stuff. And then imagine you just turn around and you say, okay, fine, I'll stay. You're my highest priority. Like, although superficially she may feel satisfied, deep down she'll probably feel a little deflated. Like, really, is my man this kind of weak? So, deep down inside, although many women won't admit this, is that she doesn't want to be number one in your life. She wants to trust knowing that you have a higher purpose than this. You know, whether, and the other thing too is to consider, and back to number one, which is solitude, you may not have that higher purpose just yet. And deep down inside, that's going to make a woman feel like a little cheated, you know what I mean? Like, because her man doesn't have a higher purpose. He's caught up in like the superficialities of life. He just goes to work, comes home, you know, has some quick sex with her, maybe watches some TV and goes to sleep. If that's your highest purpose in life, man, then you're just cheating your woman, you're cheating the world, and you're cheating yourself. And she doesn't want to be the constant attention of your life. She wants to know that you have a higher purpose, and by doing that, you also create even more polarity, even more masculine energy, and hence passion. So, yeah, she doesn't want to be number one. She basically wants to be number two, and she wants to know that you have a higher purpose than her, than just having a relationship with her. Women will test your strength. So sometimes if a woman, or better yet, women are like mirrors in a lot of ways. If you're not being disciplined, if you're not being impeccable, if you're not grounded in your masculine energy, and you're being reactive to life, and you're caught up in the superficialities of the world, she'll start to test you and poke at you and make fun of you and say shit to see if you're actually strong, if you're grounded, if you're masculine. And she does that in order to test you, to see if you're an actual stable, strong, cool under pressure kind of guy. Because if she tests you and pokes you around a little bit and, you know, fucks around with you, and you start reacting like a little bitch, then guess what? She's going to start doubting your masculine energy. Her masculine energy is going to be going up, and then a whole domino effect happens where eventually, who knows what will happen. You know, you guys are going to be done. She may go cheat on you with some more masculine guy, whatever it is. A lot of things can happen. So a woman will test your strength. And even if you are strong, maybe she'll still test you because she wants to feel that strength. She wants to know that, you know, you're indestructible, you're unbreakable, right? She wants the killer in you. She wants to know that you have that side of yourself, that dark side, and that you're connected to it. That if a burglar were to come in at night, if someone were to threaten her, you know, if you guys are out and some guy comes up to her and starts grabbing her up, that she wants to know and trust that you can access that side of yourself. And that also shows that you're connected to your masculine energy, and that you're not, that you didn't hide that part of yourself away into some pit that you never go to. Because if you do that, then you're basically cheating yourself once again, because you're not connected fully to your masculine energy. You're not connected to that aggressive aspect of your masculinity. You're cheating your woman because she can't feel like she can really trust you in any situation. And the other thing is, you're also cheating on some great sex. Because if you're connected to that side, then guess what? Sometimes you can add that side to the bedroom and really just ravish her. And that's a David Deida term. It basically means really just dominate your woman in bed. Like really take her in bed. You know, he actually says lovingly rape. And a lot of people might take that out of context and say, oh, you know, rape, what are you, crazy? Like, it doesn't mean actual rape. It just means that you really just hold her down and give it to her, basically. And when you do that, it allows her to surrender even more deeply and completely let go, knowing that you're ravishing her. So it increases her feminine energy, it lets her love even more, and it fills her with energy, knowing that her man can do that. Retention. He speaks a lot about retention and spiritual sex and tantra and stuff like that. So how do you do that? Well, most guys are addicted to a kind of quick, jerk off a little bit and then bust routine, where they condition themselves through years and years of practice. I mean, when you're a little kid, when you're a teenager and you're jerking off, you probably do it, fast in the bathroom after school or something like that. And when you do that, you're basically conditioning yourself for like this weird kind of hidden under massive tension and anxiety release type of cycle. And then you bring that cycle into the relationship with your woman. And then also you're addicted to ejaculation. Pressure, you built up pressure throughout your day and then you release it. So that's a kind of mediocre way to be, according to Deida. And he says the superior man is able to control his sexual energy. He's able to discipline his release. Because when you release your energy, aka you ejaculate, you kind of like expel a lot of energy, because your ejaculation, like sperm, is basically dense. It's very dense. It creates life at the end of the day. It's very dense. It has a lot of energy, a lot of nutrients. If you basically hold it in and you discipline yourself, it gives you more energy, it gives you a bigger boost. It makes you even more grounded on your purpose, even more focused. But if you're constantly ejaculating all the time, you're basically wasting your energy, you get depleted, you become weaker, you become less active, you get less drive. How much time should you wait? Well, basically I was doing some research, and Montauk Chia is one of the best guys when it comes to sexual energy. He's also the author of The Multi-Orgasmic Man. He says there's a simple rule according to like ancient Chinese philosophy, and I personally like it. He says if you're under 30, so if you're 20 to 30 years old, you should wait every 4 days for ejaculation. So if you ejaculate, we got to wait 4 days until it recharges up, then you can ejaculate if you want. After 30, he says you should wait about a week, I think, 7 days or 9 days. Over 40, you should wait, I believe it's like 10 days. Over 50, 2 weeks or something, and then it keeps going up from there, because as you get older, you don't want to expel that vital energy, basically. So how do you enjoy sex then? Well, you basically have sex in a way that leaves you energized at the end instead of depleted. And how do you do that? Well, there's many practices you can find in the book. One of them is basically disciplining the energy, strengthening your pelvic muscles. There's many ways to do it. And then you basically inhale your energy up during sex. So, or you exhale your energy up. It's one of the two. And you basically energize your spine and your mind, and it's crazy. It's crazy stuff I'm not going to get into depth about here. But the point is, stop ejaculating like some freaking, porn addict or something. You can tell your girl this stuff. There's a great book called It's a Guy Thing, and it's also by David Deida. And I actually gave it to my girlfriend as a gift one day, and it basically explains like how to deal with a man. The book I'm talking about is The Superior Man, and It's a Guy Thing is sort of like a manual for women for dealing with their men. And ever since she's read that book, I mean, I gotta say, it definitely helped our relationship in a lot of ways, because now she understands some of these dynamics, and honestly, we're a lot closer now because of that. And it definitely didn't make anything weird, didn't make anything awkward. It only made things a lot better. And I know maybe for some of you that's like, what? How can you tell your woman this kind of stuff? But it's like, trust me, it's worth it. Because once both of you are on the same wavelength, she's not like in a different reality than you anymore. But if only you are aware of all these dynamics, then the thing that's going to happen is she's going to start getting advice from like, Instagram and stupid shows and shit on TV, and her friends that have no clue about what's going on, that are probably influenced by feminists and shit. And if she gets her information from those sources, she's going to be putting a whole different sort of philosophy on your relationship. But if you give her this book and educate her about these types of ideas, she basically starts to listen less and less to that other bullshit. And you should tell her that, by the way. Stop listening to all this other shit. Stop listening to all your friends for advice. And basically focus more on this kind of content that'll leave you guys so much more happy, so much more grounded, so much more passion, basically. And it puts you on the same wavelength so that you're not in two different realities. So that's 10 things. It's probably more than that, about what I learned from The Way of the Superior Man. It's an amazing book. I recommend every man check it out. It's definitely a little bit spiritual. If you're not into that, don't even listen to that aspect of it. It's still a great message. It's still an amazing message for all men to hear. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys later.